Hello and welcome. This is your instructor, Dennis Westman, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about and give you an introduction to Microsoft Office PowerPoint 2010. Now, if you want to follow along in your book, you can, but we're not really going to go by the exact sections of the textbook. But what I want to do is talk a little bit about Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, I would suspect that a vast majority of you have already had some contact or have possibly used Microsoft PowerPoint before. Typically, this is one of the programs that is a little bit more fun. You can sort of express your creativity a little better, and probably it's going to be a lot more interesting to work with than especially Access and probably Excel. One thing I'd like to talk about with regards to the homework assignments in the textbook, you're going to be asked sometimes to create items from scratch, or you're going to be asked to use your own judgment when creating the documents for color, for font, for sizes, for clip art, and that sort of thing. And I would ask that you be somewhat, how should I say, somewhat conservative whenever you select the items, because again, the idea whenever you're doing a PowerPoint presentation is to create a document that looks great, is very easy to read, and appropriate and user-friendly for your audience. And of course, in the course, I'm going to be your audience, and so you want to design items that is easy to follow, easy for me to read. And you'll come across in the textbook some tips and some tricks that talks a little bit about things you should do and shouldn't do with regards to PowerPoint. And so I would just urge you to read through the PowerPoint sections in your textbook and pay careful attention to those items, especially when it gives you some tips and tricks, because those definitely will make a difference in how your PowerPoint presentation looks. Now again, you're going to be using Microsoft Office PowerPoint 2010. Now on PowerPoint page 2 talks a little bit about actually defining presentation software, and that definition is at the top. Pay careful attention to that because you'll definitely be asked for that later on whenever we start testing. Page 4 talks a little bit about designing an effective presentation, essentially sketching your presentations. So pay careful attention to that because it really does help if you sketch your items instead of simply just start planning your PowerPoint presentation. But here's the deal with PowerPoint, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's so flexible and so easy to use that you can really spend some time just simply planning out your presentation while you're in the software. So essentially designing slides, moving them around, you decide you don't like the theme or the color or so on. Very, very easy to do, and you can do that on the fly in PowerPoint. And then the rest of the chapter is just talking about the different views within Microsoft PowerPoint. The idea with creating content in PowerPoint is all about the placeholders. Those little sections in the PowerPoint presentation slide where it says something like click here to add title, click here to add subtitle, those are called placeholders. And I would encourage you to use those and not create your own text boxes, because what happens is when you use the placeholders, you'll be able to quickly create and change content on the fly. So you'll want to definitely use the placeholders. If you want to create a really nice looking presentation, you can use design themes that are talked about on PowerPoint page 12. And then that finishes up PowerPoint Unit 1. And again, there's probably not going to be PowerPoint lecture videos for the rest of the section because it's pretty self-explanatory. PowerPoint Unit B talks about modifying a presentation. So you're going to be doing stuff like formatting the text, converting text to smart art, adding shapes, duplicating shapes, aligning groups and objects, and that sort of thing. Also, you're going to be talking about using slide headers and footers. I would pay very close attention to that section whenever you're talking about slide headers and footers. And then in section 3, let me move to that section, or Unit C, sorry. Unit C is dealing primarily with inserting various objects into a presentation. And this could include Word documents, clip art, style box, text box, chart, tables, and then even word art. And so those are just different objects or elements that you can insert into a PowerPoint presentation. And then finally, in Unit D of PowerPoint, This section talks about finishing the presentation and customizing the background, the themes, the slide transition, the timings, animation, which is always kind of fun to be able to do. But what I would make a note of whenever we get to tutorial or unit D is the section about modifying master slides. And again, we're not covering that for the next couple of weeks, so you want to just kind of put that in the back of your mind and then pay careful attention to it when we do get to that section with the master slides, because those are extremely powerful but can be a little bit complicated whenever you're creating them. Okay, well, I hope you enjoy the PowerPoint section. I know it's one of my favorite programs, and I want you to read and follow the directions carefully. And as usual, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or post a message to the appropriate discussion forum. Thank you, and have a great day.